Here are 10 questions you should be asking any prospective installer to ensure that you get quality, service, and peace of mind. All right, question number one, tell me about your company. What we really want to know here is how big is the company? How long has it been around? How many employees do they have? A reputable installer should be transparent about all of these items, and they should be able to tell you things like how many systems they've installed, whether or not they outsource their work. It's a big bonus if they're local and you can actually visit their office. Number two, what are their customers saying about them? Look up their Google reviews, look up those Yelp reviews. You should be able to get a lot of information just based on what people are saying about them. And any reputable company should be able to share real-world reviews with you anytime you ask. Through installing around 1,000 systems a year, we've managed to maintain a very high rating across both Google and Yelp platforms. By the way, we also happen to have a local office here in Southern California, so if you're in the area and you're interested in checking out a solar energy system, click the link in the description to get a free solar quote on your system. So question number three, Mr. Installer, what is your core competency? So in this industry, what you'll find is you have companies that focus on sales only. Those typically will subcontract the install work. Then you also have companies that only act as subcontractors, where they only do installation work and no sales. And then you have the third kind of company, kind of like Forme Solar, where we both do sales and installation work. That's actually the hardest thing to maintain because it's really hard to be good at two things at the same time, but we find that those things go hand in hand. It's important to make sure that what they're good at aligns with what you value. If you want to look at a company that excels in installation but is terrible with service, Tesla is a name you might recognize. If you look all online, you'll realize that, hey, service just isn't their strong point, despite the fact that they make incredible equipment and have really good installation teams that work with them. Okay, so question number four, what brands do they offer or what brands do they work with? Now, there are lots of brands out there. There are a lot of high quality brands out there, but most reputable companies will choose to work within what they would call a tier one brand. We're typically talking about solar panels with efficiency of 18% or higher, and typically we're talking about a manufacturer that owns at least 5 to 10% market share. The reason for going with those is not just because the technology is good, but you want a company that's going to be there when you need service, and you want a company whose warranty actually means something. And that's the primary reason why a reputable installer will choose to work with brands that most people recognize. And it's really just not only for peace of mind, but also for knowing that you've got the backup when you need repairs. Question number five, are they offering any promotions or incentives? Certain companies we know will offer a discount to folks who are in the armed forces. We do the same. We offer a discount for veterans, for example. Those kinds of things that will help you drive down the cost of your project are always worth asking about. And companies that are expert at being in business will typically have some kind of incentive to offer you. Question number six, now we touched on this briefly, but does the company use their own in-house install crews? This actually can make quite a big difference because when you have an in-house install crew, they are basically beholden to the standards of that company and the entire reputation behind that company. In contrast, if you're a subcontractor working for a sales organization, once your install work is done, you're gone. You don't owe anything to the customer, and chances are you never really had any real communication with the customer. And so when things go wrong, the customer has to call the sales organization, and they in turn need to turn around and harass the subcontractor, assuming they're still in business. Question number seven, can you show me some recent examples of your work? Of course, everybody's familiar with websites plastered with tons of pictures of solar panels on homes, but you should be comfortable asking for, hey, can you show me some photos from a recent install you did? Ideally, maybe with a roof type like mine, or maybe with 2 stories or a building structure like mine as well. That way you get to see something that's relevant, recent, and something that you can really use to make your decisions on. Here's a couple of our projects. All right, question number 8, and this is actually one of our favorite questions here. What's your project management process? Now, this makes a huge difference in terms of the entire installation experience because you have companies that will basically sell you and then disappear afterwards, leaving you with the customer service rep to basically act as your project manager. This is a person that doesn't really know much about what's going on, except for when you ask them a question, they might be able to pull up your file. On the flip side, when you have a company that specializes really only in sales, they're going to be great on the customer service side of things, but when it comes to the actual install, they're not going to know much about it, and they'll probably have to reach out to the subcontractor just to get those answers. So you wind up with not only a delay in communication, but you also don't really get the benefit of getting direct knowledge from that. Lastly, of course, you have those companies that are really good at both. They focus on both the sales, service, and the installation side of things. As I mentioned before, that's a pretty rare bird. We pride ourselves in being one of those, but that's really the kind of thing that you want for your project, simply because anytime that you're able to hear directly from the horse's mouth what's going going on, that's the way it should be. In fact, we even take it a step further to where your salesperson also doubles as your project manager, so that when you have questions, you get to talk to the person who not only sold you, but is also keeping on top of your project day to day as well. So there's a lot of credibility to be had there. Okay, so question number 9. What happens after the installation? Who's going to monitor the system? Who do I call if something goes wrong? Companies that split themselves out into either sales organizations or service or install type organizations have a hard time fulfilling that part of the bargain because they don't really control all of the cards. Companies that do both tell you directly, based on information of your actual project, what's going on, how things are going to get fixed, and they'd also be able to confirm whether or not the system is working right for you or not. Question number 10. What are the warranties, if any? So most organizations do have some form of both a workmanship warranty as well as a manufacturer product warranty. Obviously, the product warranty piggybacks off what the manufacturer states on their sites, but in addition to that, a reputable installer also needs to stand behind their actual work. So you want to find a company that will offer you at least a 10-year workmanship warranty. That way, if anything goes wrong during the most important years, which are really the early years of your system, you have an installer that is ready to take care of the issue for you right then and there. That's not going to give you any flack just because it may or may not be something that they caused. At the end of the day, they need to own that because obviously you're the one paying the bill. So another type of warranty that you're going to see is possibly a production warranty or guarantee. When your system was first designed, it was estimated to produce a certain amount of kilowatt hours of energy. Now, reputable companies will not only be able to guarantee that production target, they will also be able to give you specifics like how much loss you should experience within the first 10 years of the lifetime of that system. It could be anywhere between 0.5% to 1% per year. All of that should be spelled out and easily demonstrated by the installer. Bonus question. What's your company mission? This actually tells you a lot about what you can expect from your experience with the solar company. Some companies focus more on sustainability, environmental, or community service. Depending on what those values are and how they align with yours, it can give you a good indication of what your experience with that solar company might be. For example, at Forme Solar, our number one goal is to become as close to your local solar installer as possible. We really don't see ourselves any different than a plumber that you might call, or perhaps even a gardener that might come and work on your yard. We're just here to work on your solar energy system. So rather than being just a company that wants to sell and install the world, we really want to be the type of company that will support the installations that we've done throughout the years here in Southern California. Now, if that aligns with the values you're looking for in a solar installer, click the link below to get more information. As you're shopping for solar, just ask these 10 questions and you'll be able to weed out the low quality installers really fast. Don't just go with the biggest brand or the cheapest quote. Go with the company that will be there for you in the long run. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below with any solar questions you might have.